Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 62 of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to be joined by NASCAR driver, TV host, singer, and owner of Lafferty Motorsports. Chris Lafferty is set to join us in just a few moments from right now. We will talk to one of NASCAR's own Renaissance men in just a few moments with a variety of topics to cover. Plus, we'll have our news and notes segment as well as our Ask David segment at the end of today's show. But before we get to any of that, as always, we are presented by our friends at Ticket Smarter. Ticket Smarter came on board as the primary sponsor this year on David's 08 Ford Mustang, and we want to tell you a little bit more about what they do. Ticket Smarter is a national ticket resale marketplace with tickets to over 125,000 live events, including NASCAR and other forms of motorsports. Fans can get their tickets to every NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, and Camping World Truck Series race throughout the season. For more, log on to ticketsmarter.com. That's ticketsmarter.com as you want to ticket smarter, not harder. David Starr joins us right now. David, fresh off a visit to Martinsville this weekend. Tell us how things were.
Man, what a great racetrack. Man, been racing there forever. It's one of my favorite. I mean, this goes back to where we all come from. Short track, Saturday night features, under the lights, a lot of beating and banging. But man, what an awesome facility. Martinsville has lights now. Martinsville did not disappoint. Again, the Xfinity race was over the top. It was nuts, crazy. It was a great weekend of racing.
Yeah, and Dominic Aragon from the RacingExperts.com joins us as well. Dom, it was the weekend of William Byron.
Yes, the weekend of William Byron and our first repeat winner in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2022. We've got more to that later, but we have our first repeat winner. Hendrick Motorsports looking like the cream of the crop in 2022 thus far.
Yeah, certainly so. And William Byron getting the second win of the year. And David, when it comes to William Byron, this is a guy that has gotten better every single year. He races so consistent. He doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes and runs up front. It was only a matter of time before we'd be talking about William Byron having multiple wins in a Cup Series season.
Yeah, no doubt. William Byron's, I mean, just driving for Hendrick Motorsports, anybody that's ever driving for Hendrick Motorsports, yeah, I mean, obviously you're the best. You're on top of your game because Rick Hendricks don't hire you. He only hires the best. And William Byron has just been a phenomenal driver over the years. And to be with an organization like Hendricks, and Tyler, you said it best. He just gets better and better year after year. I think week after week, especially with this new next-gen race car. They got it figured out. They're consistently in the top 10 up near the front with all the Hendrick cars. And, man, he put on a show Thursday night at the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. He put on a show for the fans. He was the class of the field. And then to back that up in the Cup Series, the Cup race on Saturday night was just really impressive. And, William Byron is you just can't say enough about the kid. He's pretty awesome, pretty hot driver right now.
Dominic, I would say that of William Byron's wins so far in his career, that was the most impressive. I mean, he dominated this race from start to finish. I mean, it's one thing winning on a slate track and such, but the fact that he was able to do what he did on a short track, leading as many laps as he did, that was impressive.
Oh, big time, Tyler. And with the fact that you see William Byron overtake his teammate with Chase Elliott, and Hendrick Motorsports showed the dominance. They led the way at Martinsville Speedway, but when it came down to it at the end, William Byron showed the speed and the muscle, and he was able to hold off a past champion and Joey Logano for that win. I was impressed. I think if there were a lot of people that weren't impressed with William Byron already, what he's done already in 2022 is super impressive.
You want to go in the back door?
Yeah, I think so. Before we bring in our guest, Chris Lafferty, here in just a moment, David, on the Xfinity side, I want to ask you to weigh in here. Brandon Jones gets the win, but he wasn't necessarily the story of the race. The two young guys, Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer, with a little scuffle there. Ty Gibbs doesn't take off the helmets and he got a little fined by NASCAR there. What'd you make of the exchange between those two young guys?
Man, when you talk about, the Gibbs kid and Sandbar, I mean, you're just talking about a lot of passion. Everybody in the Xfinity race, I mean, everybody was racing hard or all fighting for the same piece of real estate. Obviously, I was my Ticket Smarter Ford Mustang, I was digging hard. Was a lap down. Jason Miller, my crew chief, we couldn't get our Ford Mustang to rotate as good as we wanted to. But man, we fought the whole race, but the whole entire race, there was action going on, people beating and banging, moving people out of the way. And then when it came down to the end, I mean, I think with 4 or 5 laps to go, we had a red on the restart. The whole, going into turn 1, I think the whole front straightaway was blocked. It was nuts. It was crazy. But man, Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer. I mean, these guys are going for the win, you know what I mean? And man, when there's 1 lap to go, I mean, they laid it all out there on the line. And when you see scuffles and fights break out on pit road, just judging from my past, it's just passion. Everybody's passionate and they're mad, frustrated, and man, you just see a lot of passion. Everybody wants to win, and there can only be one winner. But Tyler, you brought up, sometimes in the heat of the moment, somebody gets to you before you have a chance to take your helmet off. For me personally, I've been in some scuffles fights where I didn't even have a chance to take my helmet off. And look back on it, I wish I would have, but it's just one of those situations, that happens. And Todd Gibbs was unable to take his helmet off, you know what I mean? And I'm sure he's getting ripped up. He's getting it's taking a lot of criticism for it, but I don't know if the guy had enough time to get his helmet off when all the action started happening. But it's hard to say really if you're not in that situation, you know what I mean? Like I said, I was busy fighting for every position I can get. And, and at the end of the race was over with, I wasn't around them. So I didn't really understand or see the whole thing. But, my take, I'd rather have my helmet off and just man to man with whoever I got an issue with. But, but Tom may not have had that opportunity.
Yeah. Very good point. Yeah. But certainly was exciting. And those two young guys are going to be around for a long time. It won't be the last that they see of each other. No. That's for sure. Dominic, before we bring in our guest tonight, Chris Lafferty, tell us about Chris. He's got quite the background in a number of things.
Oh, he certainly does. You talk about somebody that can just gracefully bounce from professional profession to another professional profession. That's Chris. Somebody that he got his start in California, moved out to North Carolina to pursue his career in racing. He's running the ARCA series as well as the NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, has hosted TV and radio shows, and has a music background as well. Chris, thank you so much for joining us this week on Let's Go Racing.
Hey guys, how you guys doing tonight?
Oh man, we're doing great, man. It looks like you're having some fun out there. Where are you at again? Tell us.
Man, I'm in Nashville. I'm down at a little music venue in Nashville with some friends of mine. Hanging out on the bus. They're on stage right now doing their thing, and I'm just sitting here dreaming up my next project to take on.
That's awesome. You've had a lot of fun projects to work on over the years, and certainly racing has been a big part of that. So, man, take us back to the beginning. One of the cool things we love to find out on this show is where everybody's background started. So take us back to where it all started and what sparked that interest in motorsports for you.
Man, I got to tell you, what sparked the interest, NASCAR engine builder, Tony Santanicola, that dude, grew up idolizing that guy. I grew up in the Bay Area in California, the San Francisco Bay Area. And I knew one of two things was going to happen in my life. I was either going to move to Hollywood to be an actor, or I was moving to North Carolina to be a NASCAR. And I chased the NASCAR thing. I moved to North Carolina with literally a pistol in my pocket and a pocket of money. And I was like, look, this is all I need to negotiate. I had everything that I needed and everything I just fought for, man. It was, started homeless and the rest is history, as they say, so made it to North Carolina. I was just really too dumb to know that I couldn't do it. And so every day I just push to make it to the next step, you know?
Well, Chris, it's impressive, buddy. I raced against you for years. You're a damn good race car driver. And, you know, looking back on it, I never really knew how it all started for you. But for a guy from California that had a dream and had a pistol and a pocket full of money, hell, dude, there's millions of people all over the world would have loved to have been in your shoes, man. Man, you know, I meet people, drivers all over the United States that would love to have an opportunity to race in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series like you did for as long as you did. And they never get that opportunity, man, for you to come from humble beginnings, not only race as a professional race car driver in NASCAR, but to own your own racing team. And all you had was a pocket full of money and a pistol, dude. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. And one heck of a story, you know? And man, you did it all. I remember, I mean, you drove your truck and trailer, you built your race truck, you built your motors, you and your wife, man, y'all, man, what a journey it was, but what a major accomplishment. You might not have won a race and got the trophy and drove into victory lane, dude, but man, you won just being there and accomplishing that dream, because dreams are hard to accomplish, and you did it, dude. That's amazing.
Well, man, I you know, coming from you, David, I mean, you know, when that means the world to me, you know, because I think of you as a friend. I think of you as, when I came into the series, you know, I knew who David Starr was. I was like, man, I may never be as good looking as that guy is, but
that's funny, dude.
But you know what? I'm going to keep showing up. And I'll tell you this, man, you know, nobody wants to be in my shoes simply because the path was too damn hard. You know, it was such a struggle. It was very difficult. And that's one of the things that, you know, so many people get to see. You know, it's like you said, you didn't know the backstory. And so many people, they see me in my perfectly tailored fire suit, you know, my butt's looking great, you know, moneymaker like this, you know, and they're like, man, that guy must have come from money, but just doesn't, you know, but it was a tough uphill climb, and it was just passion, desire, that got there. So yeah, I never made it to victory lane in a truck race, but for me, I got to do something that I should not have been able to. I mean, dude, like, I got to race with you, David, you know, and the Ron Hornaday, the Kyle Busch, you know, all the names that I go, man, that was cool, because I'm just a blue collar guy who just hustled, man. I just hustled.
And man, it's just an awesome story. You know what I mean? It just, man, it's what it's all about. Somebody's got a dream and passion and a lot of desire and a lot of want to be able to race as a professional race car driver, build your own racing team, and just everything you did. I mean, you know, obviously Kyle Busch and Hornadays and Kevin Harvick, and just, you know, seeing Dale Earnhardt at the racetrack, you know, when I first started, I mean, just, you know, meeting Richard Petty and AJ Foyt, doing everything that a guy like you and a guy like me got to do is just phenomenal. You know what I mean? I meet families and kids and young girls that, man, what do we got to do? You know, we want to be a NASCAR. That's all I think about. You know, I've been racing 10 years, 8 years, and, you know, and race car drivers around the country that are just extremely, extremely great drivers that will maybe never get that opportunity that you had and that you created, you know, and to be able to be a professional as long as you were is just, man, the story's incredible. You know what I mean? And you're a great race car driver. I mean, I think if you'd have been driving the same truck that I had, or maybe Ron Hornaday or all the guys that were winning back then, if you'd have had that same equipment, you would have been in victory lane as well. But the story of all the beginnings and how it all worked and the sacrifices that nobody understands and probably won't ever understand is man, you're a winner, dude. You might not have pulled into victory lane, but dude, you walk around these days, you're a winner, not just in what you do and how you did it, just in life, man, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. And it's funny you brought up Ron Hornaday, and he came to me, said the same thing. He said, "Hey, Chris, keep your head up, because if you were in my truck, you'd be amazed with the racer you'd be." And I responded I said, "So Ron, is that an invitation to race your truck? Because man, I'll do it." And the best thing that he could do, I did feel a little cheated by Ron. I went over to his house, had some drinks. I slept on the famous couch that Harvick and Jimmy Johnson and that turned them into superstars. That the Hall of Fame wants this couch, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sleep on that couch. I fell asleep on it, and it didn't work for me. So I was like, man.
Did you sleep on that couch?
Well, I mean, early on, I think I stayed at Ron's house a couple of nights, long time ago, and I slept on the couch, and I don't even know if it was the same couch that you're talking about, but man, everybody has their story, everybody has their path, and I want you to know that, there's a lot of people that would have loved to have had the same journey and story and passion and desire and to succeed like Chris Lafferty did. So man, you got nothing to be ashamed of, dude. You made a living racing NASCAR, and it don't get much better than that. You know what I mean?
No, man, I'm totally blessed. It's one of those things that, I just, every day I woke up, I was like, man, how do I be David Starr? And that's what I kept pushing towards. But, all joking aside, I've often told people, I'm like, look, if I was to have made it as an A-list guy, or, that next rung up, I may not have done things outside of racing that I'm equally as proud of with TV, radio, now the music industry, because it's, when you've got hunger to do stuff, wherever you meet a roadblock in one place, you got to turn and pivot and go into a different place. So I sit back and I'm like, man, I'm blessed. I'm like, I've gotten to do a lot of cool things in other areas that I'm living the dream, man. I got no complaints.
Dude, I'm just sitting here, man. I just know you as a professional freaking race car driver that was damn good. Man, you got to tell us the story, man. How country music? Hell, I didn't even know that you was a singer or you were in the music business. And here you are, man, in Nashville. You've been in this business for a long time, man. Enlighten us, dude. Tell us all about that, man. What a story, dude. You went from, hell, Tyler, can you sing?
I can, actually.
Well, hell, I can't. Dominic probably can't sing, but there's
I can play drums. I've played drums in a band for 9 years, but that's it. I can't sing for crap.
Well, Chris, tell us.
Hey, man, you're hired.
Tell us.
You guys get a drummer? I'm there.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So here's the thing. So towards, I've always had a passion for music, and that's part of the reason. A lot of people know that me and Sam Bass, the first officially licensed NASCAR artist, he and I were best friends. And part of the reason we were best friends is our passion for music. And so when I wasn't racing, oftentimes what I was doing is the band that I was singing in, we would play at NASCAR tracks or local venues, because it was just a passion that I had to sing. And so, in the mix of racing and, struggling to race, I put out an album under my with my rock group, and the rock group was called 89 Reasons. I drove the 89 truck, and the band was called 89 Reasons. And the reason for that is, 89 reasons to me, and not to get all like teary and philosophical, the number 89 to me was about struggle, overcoming adversity, busting your butt to make it. And so I've got 89 reasons that I chase everything in life. And so the music, I personally got the same high from driving race cars as I do to getting on stage and singing. And so when I stepped away from racing, I went out onto the road touring with some, reasonably well-known bands. The first band that we toured nationally with was a band called Saving Abel, which, they've done some stuff in NASCAR, and they're a Southern rock type of a group. Became very close with them. And I saw that I wanted to put some focus in the music industry, but music is just like racing. You can throw every nickel at it and not get a whole lot of traction. So I learned the hard way that I needed to make the business work. And so what I did is I invested in tour buses, which is part of the reason that I'm on a tour bus right now. This is
That's awesome.
This
dude.
is the tour bus. And so my business, the business side is I provide bands with, when it's not my band, I provide bands with tour buses when they go on tour. And so my client list includes, I don't know what kind of music you guys listen to, but the rock band Saliva, Click, Click, Boom. That is one of my customers. The Mozart of the guitar, Yngwie Malmsteen. He's one of my clients. And the band that I'm actually on their bus right now is the music of Cream. You remember Cream, Eric Clapton and Ginger Baker? Well, man, this is a cool thing. They're relatives, so Eric Clapton's nephew and Ginger Baker's son have come together to do this band featuring Eric Clapton's music and the music of Cream, and that's why I'm in Nashville visiting with them. And so, the music is just so ingrained in me. And so now, my next endeavor in music, I'm working on a country album because, look, man, I'm 44, man. I'm getting older. I still got my good looks, as you can see. But it's one of those things that I'm like, the country music is coming very natural for me. It feels right. I've got the scars that goes with the country music. And so, part of the visit to Nashville is to work on this country album.
That's incredible. And, we're usually, Chris, on this show, asking people who their influences were in racing and such, but I want to know, who are some of your favorite artists in the music world? Who are some of those maybe past or present such that come to mind? Who are your inspirations there?
All right, so here's the thing. So I've actually got a song out. It's called Rockstar, and it chronicles some of my music influences, and everything from Buddy Holly, the Beatles, Elvis, Marvin Gaye, Dimebag Darrell from Pantera, Papa Roach. I could go down the list of everything from the classical inspiration to the modern rock guys, and all the rock gods in the middle. So it's one of those things that, man, music does it for me, man.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Wow. You mentioned some superstars there. Wow. So Chris, man, it's ironic you talk about Sam Bass, because years ago, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, NASCAR called me and asked me if I'd go to Nashville and to do what do they call them when they send a couple drivers to Nashville, to any venue where you're going to race in a month. And
it's like the marketing and promo stuff.
Media tour.
So Sam had, I guess the trophy for the Nashville Super Speedway was a guitar. And I guess he designed it, the first time we ever went to Nashville, the new Nashville Super Speedway. And we've been racing at the Nashville Fairgrounds. I remember running there in 97 or 98, 99, and then they built the new speedway there. But I think Sam Bass had always designed the trophy, which was a Gibson guitar. And so I went, and Sam Bass was there, and he was showing the media what the guitar was his design on that guitar. And also met a guy, Sam introduced me to Scott Bichetta. Bichetta. And Scott, I've known Scott for years. And I said, Scott, what are you doing here, man? He said, dude, I'm supplying the entertainment. I guess at the time he had a show on, I think it was TNN, whatever it was. Yeah. And it was a duo. I guess these duos came in there, and I guess if you won this show on television, this duo contest, he signed you to a record deal. So he said, hey, I brought our 3 finalists. I had no clue what he was talking about. And I asked him, I said, what do you mean finalists? And I didn't know you was in the music business. And man, I've known this guy for 3-4 years. I guess we never sat down and talked about what he did, and he explained to me that he owned a record label, Big Machine Records, and he had Tim McGraw and I mean, all of them. I mean, all the greats, Taylor Swift, and I was like blown away. I knew this guy forever, but we talked about racing at the racetrack when I seen him. We didn't really talk about, hey man, what do you do to make a living and this and that. And, but man, it was cool to be there with Sam. I got to really build my relationship with Sam Bass. And dude, it's cool to hear that he was one of your best friends, but what a great guy he was. And obviously in our industry of NASCAR racing, I mean, he was the guy. He designed Jeff Gordon's car, Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s cars, all the paintings, and just the greatness he was in the artistry that he was and what he did made a huge impact in our industry. And it was really cool to hear you talk about him. I didn't know y'all were that great of friends, and I knew he had a big love for music, and I never knew the connection y'all had. It's kind of interesting looking, knowing and learning that today,
Yeah, man. That when I started talking about Sam, it hits a little bit different of a nerve. And I want to start by saying that one of the songs on my album is called Sam, and it is a song to him. I've got some heavy hitters involved with that song that I'm really, really excited to talk about, which I can't quite say who's also a part of that song yet. Right. But, me and Sam were very close. We hosted a radio show together, and, he was not only my best friend, my hero, my mentor, he's like my Superman. And so, it was a scenario where, he and I had been working on, because I've got a bit of a film background. And to me, he is such an amazing human being because he didn't know how awesome he was. And he was so humble. And so we were working on his documentary for about 10 years. And then, of course, he passed away. And I'm honored to say that at his funeral, all the pallbearers were people in the music industry, and then myself, I was the only guy that was from racing that was one of the pallbearers, and it was the most, I was so honored to be able to carry my hero, and lay that man to rest. And so we were working diligently on his documentary. You mentioned Scott Borchetta. We know he's going to be involved with it. And so we're pretty excited. Really, the toughest part of this whole documentary on the great Sam Bass is everybody knew Sam and everybody wants to be a part of his documentary. It's just when you got heavy hitters like that, it's hard to get them, pinned down to get the interviews. I mean, we met with Travis Tritt. It's been some months ago, but from the time that he agreed to be a part of the documentary, it took us 6 months to get it scheduled. So it's one of those things that I'm honored to be doing this project on the life of Sam Bass. I'm honored that my music's going to be involved with it as is others. But this is, man, I tell you what, it would be easier to walk away from hitting the wall at Daytona than it would be to do this project, because it is not easy. It is not easy, for sure.
Man, what an honor that is, Chris. I think about Sam Bass, and two people come to mind. When I was, obviously, before I made it to NASCAR, I would go to a lot of NASCAR races and sneak in the garage. And, obviously I idolized Sam Bass as well, just because on everything, anything that had to do with racing. If you went to a race shop, you went to somebody's house that had a cool man cave, they had Sam Bass paintings everywhere, and
right.
And but one of the things I remember most about Sam is Earnhardt and Sam Bass they were close, they were tight. I saw them together a lot, and also, I knew Jeff Gordon was really close with Sam Bass, and it seemed to me like after we lost the great Dale Earnhardt, it seemed like that Sam Bass and Jeff Gordon got even closer. I didn't know Sam that well. I knew him and met him and got closer to him as the years clicked off. But, and to hear you talk about him, and that's one of the things I remember most about him, that what a great person he was. He was just phenomenal. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I don't think he knew how awesome he was. And
there's a whole lot more to Sam Bass than just Kyle Busch smashing his guitar.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you this. There was so many times, I'd go, because he worked 24/7. He sat on his deathbed probably 7 times since I knew him. and every one of them times, he's in the hospital working on some art project. And I'm like, Sam, put all that stuff down, pick up your guitar. Let's go play in some venues, and I tell you, the human beings, in life, there's only a handful of human beings that you truly meet and you're like, this person's special, very few people. And he was one of them for me, he was. And, the guy just never met a stranger. He was always busy, but always had time for everybody. And it was, just honored to know the guy. Anybody who's ever met him, has definitely met a man who had no idea how cool he was, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And for you, Chris, I'm curious, what of all the stories and all the cool things you got to do with Sam over the years, what's your favorite memory or favorite memories? If you have a top 2 or top 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm sitting over at his studio. He's working on it was a Tony Stewart picture, right? And he's telling me about how he does the people in the stands. He's doing little dots. And he's sitting there, and I'm looking at the sky or something. And he goes, I remember one time Brooks and Dunn called me, and they said that they wanted to give Dale Earnhardt a Christmas present. And so they asked me if I'd do him a guitar so that they could give to Dale Earnhardt. And he just nonchalantly just went about his business. I said, whoa, Sam, hold on. I don't know if I can cuss on here, so I'm not going to say.
Go ahead. You can.
I said, shut the fuck up, Sam. I said, you just told that story the way that I tell people, like I'm going to the food line to go get eggs and a tomato and a loaf of bread, man. And I go, dude, you have no idea how cool that story is. And like, he just stopped because he's like, yeah, I guess that is pretty cool. I go, dude, you got to tell your stories, man. And that was, so, that moment stood out. Man, that one stood out big time. So,
so Dominic, has Brooks and Dunn ever called you buddy?
No, not at all. How about you, Dave? Tyler?
No, please call me some, man. That's amazing. You know what I mean? How about you, Tyler?
No, I haven't had that interaction. Now, I'm curious, Chris, from your perspective, it's so interesting. The ties between country music and NASCAR are so woven together, I think, in a lot of ways. You mentioned Sam Bass, Scott Bichetta, who's a NASCAR owner, might we add. Brad Paisley, Blake Shelton, big NASCAR guys. You go to about every NASCAR race in the country. What happens before the race? A country concert.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it is so fascinating how those two industries have been woven and collided together for such a long time.
Absolutely, man. I mean, look, here's the reality. I mean, you go back one step farther, and David, I know you can attest to this. When we were young, we were watching the General Lee jump over Roscoe's car, and that was the inspiration for at least for guys like me to get into NASCAR. And I remember the episode where Kel Yarbrough came on to the Dukes of Hazzard, and they're working on this special engine. But yeah, so country music has always had its ties to NASCAR. Hey, a lot of people don't realize Marty Robbins, the great Marty Robbins.
Dude, I was fixing to bring his name up. Absolutely.
Country music legend was also a NASCAR driver. Kyle Petty falls into that category.
Yeah.
Great driver, great musician. And then there's only one other guy that falls into that category, and I'll let you guess who that guy is.
Man, I'm trying to figure that out
Tommy
right
Regan?
now. Mike Skinner,
Jeff Bodine.
I'm gonna say this guy right here.
Okay, Chris Lafferty. Yeah,
Chris,
right.
Yeah. Oh, that guy. Yeah.
So Chris, man, I remember my dad was a crew chief for a guy named Ronnie Chumley and Tony Bittenhausen Jr. with the Vita Fresh Orange Juice racing team. And my dad always remember him talking about, man, the night before the race, Marty was racing in the race the next day, but he would have a concert for all of the racers and the crew members and, I guess some of the fans. And I remember that, my dad talking about that all the time. We still talk about that, and I just thought that was amazing. And I still like all my Marty Robbins songs because I listened to them when I was a kid, because my dad loved Marty Robbins because of, because he was a NASCAR driver and he had great music, it was amazing. So
absolutely, man. And that was one of the things that, again, I go back to, for me personally, had I made it as an A-lister, I may not have the drive to do some of these extracurricular things. And so, one of my dreams has always been to build a music tour that follows the NASCAR schedule, so I can jump in a race car, race the race, jump out, and go jump on stage somewhere, and that's kind of it. If I have a last hurrah, that's what it's going to be. But I think ultimately, to set that off, my next big thing is going to be, I always wanted to sing the national anthem at a race that I was racing in. So that's I might check that one off my list.
That's going to be cool. Well, let me tell you, talk about A-listers. Okay. So, 89 plus is pretty damn good. That's right there, dude. So I don't know if you consider that self an A-lister. I kind of do. 89 plus is pretty damn close, man.
Hey man, I'll take it. I know, when I leave this earth, I don't know what happens. I know we're going to have a bunch of memories and I have been, I've been on the high banks of Daytona to the short track at Martinsville. I've been on stage with some greats. I'm happy, man. I'm definitely happy.
So I got to ask you, Chris, we know your last truck start was 2013, but what's the likelihood we see you suit up for some more truck races down there, or any NASCAR races down there before it's all said and done?
Well, man, I didn't realize it'd been that long. So, all joking aside, I have been talking to a few people about making a return. Here's the thing, as we talked about, earlier in this interview, when I was racing, I can remember many a times where I'm strapping down into that race truck for qualifying, and I would go, you know what, man, if I have to qualify in order to pay my mortgage. And so I don't want to go back to that. So I feel like there's going to be a return of Chris Lafferty. But I'm definitely not going to do it the way that the young and dumb Chris Lafferty did it. We're going to do it a little bit differently, you know?
One thing, Chris, I want to ask you before we kind of move on here. We were talking about the connections of the two industries and such. Team Trackhouse, led by Justin Marks, they're going to be moving their shop to Broadway there in Nashville in the very near future. And we've seen, Tootsie on the car and such, the famous bar there in Broadway and all that. I love what they're doing with that group and Pitbull and such. I mean, they're kind of becoming, I guess, Nashville's team of sorts, with their connections, it seems.
Yeah, man. I think we're in an era where, I mean, you got to do something. You got like anything to keep it interesting, anything to keep, stirring the pot. I mean, you look at guys like Rick Hendrick, car dealerships, so everybody else has to kind of look at what is their niche. And if Nashville for them, or, you mentioned before, Scott Borchetta has his team. I mean, look, I think it's expanding to people, and we're learning that people love this sport who we may not have thought did. And I think it's a great thing, man. I definitely do. And so I'm just looking for that as well, finding that niche that can bring me back. And, we'll see what happens,
Well, man, I'm intrigued here by listening to you talk, a buddy of ours, Clay Greenfield, out of the Nashville area, truck racer. Yep. Obviously there's much more, but I didn't know you was interested in that. And I think we're going to be going, working on your behalf, seeing if we can't get you back in a truck race somewhere.
All right. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this one step farther. So here's my dream. Okay. So I want to put on it. Let's say it's Martinsville. I want to put on a concert at Martinsville. I want to sing the national anthem. I want to jump in my truck. I want to bend fenders with you, David. Then you and I, now I'm going to say we're going to get out and fight, but I already know you can throw hands. So what's really going to happen is I'm going to get my ass kicked. And that's the ultimate dream. If I could pull that off, then, man, that would, I would have lived life, Well,
dude, I can't wait to hear you sing the national anthem, and then jump in your freaking race truck and start the race. Hell, that's pretty exciting, man. I don't even know if that's ever been done. I think that'd be pretty awesome. And I don't think that's too far away in your near future, to be honest with you, so yeah, absolutely.
Man, I'm working on it. We're in a good place. The music business is getting its wheels rolling, and so man, I'm blessed. I'm starting to peek my eyes back at the racing, and people are kind of like you guys are calling my phone, and man, I can't help. Look, the racing addiction's still there, man. It's just, you guys keep calling and I'm going to have to come back.
Hey, man, let me tell you, Kurt, let me change the subject real quick. So that bus you own that you're sitting in, you sold that thing one day. Hell, there's no telling what kind of racing team you could build on your own again. Because I know
that'd be a nice motor coach.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, there's actually, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm sitting on one, and I've got, I don't know if you can see another one sitting right next to it. So we got two buses at this venue, and hey, look, I feel like I spent 20 years in racing, making all the mistakes, learning all the business mistakes, which I've made all of them. And now I feel like I understand business. I'm doing it for real. And so who knows? I might, start the old Lafferty Motorsports back. Who knows?
I love it. That's great.
Absolutely.
We will get to our news and notes segment in just one moment. But before we do, Ticket Spotter is the official ticket resale marketplace of Worldwide Technology Raceway, where David won in 2004 driving for Spears Motorsports. They'll also be the presenting sponsor of the Cup race at Worldwide Technology Raceway in June. Fans can get tickets to any type of event, including sports, concerts, and theater productions. Ticket Spotter is committed to helping those in need by donating $1 for every transaction to various charity organizations. Head over to ticketspotter.com to find tickets for upcoming events. That's ticketspotter.com for more information there. Let's go ahead and get to our news and notes segment. Dominic Aragon is standing by. Dom, what do we got?
Tyler, perhaps the biggest headline of the week to come out of NASCAR news this week is the fact that we're going to have an Earnhardt return to the driver's seat in the number 3 car. Richard Childress Racing announced on Tuesday, April 12th, Jeffrey Earnhardt will pilot the number 3 Xfinity Series ride at Talladega Superspeedway in just a couple short weeks. He's got sponsorship from Forever Lawn. He's going to be driving the 3 car at Talladega. It doesn't get more NASCAR and Earnhardt and Childress and throwback than that.
David, Jeff Earnhardt well. Good to see him get a chance in that 3 car.
Man, I'm excited for Jeffrey, to have Jeffrey out there in a Childress RCR Childress race car that has a big old number 3 on the door. I mean, I just think that's a recipe right there for success. So I'm excited for Jeffrey. He's been a great friend of mine. He's a great competitor. And I'm excited to see him getting some great equipment, and driving an RCR race car in Xfinity Series. He could definitely drive into victory lane at that race.
Yeah. Chris, you know Jeffrey at all?
Oh man, I got a story, a Jeffrey story. Well, man, I got talked into jumping off the stratosphere one year, and Jeffrey was involved with that. And let me tell you how that story goes. And let me first start by saying that I'm terrified of heights. I'm not scared of anything, but I don't like heights. And so we're at the stratosphere and, doing like the autograph signing thing. And I see this guy walking around to different drivers, whispering in their ear, right? And I'm going, man, what is this guy whispering about? And finally, this guy gets to me. He whispers in my ear and he says, "Hey, Chris, do you want to jump off the stratosphere?" Well, I thought that meant go have a drink called jump off the stratosphere up in the tower. I thought it was a drink. So I was like, well, hell yeah, I do. Let's go. So we're walking towards the tower, and it's me, Jeffrey, and 2 of the female drivers that was racing at the time. And we go into this room where they're suiting everybody up in these little spacesuit things. And I'm like, holy crap, what did I sign up for? Next thing I know, we're putting these harnesses on. They got us 950 feet in the air, and you are literally jumping off the stratosphere. And I remember just cussing. I was like, damn it, Jeffrey, I can't believe, now I'm stuck. I have to do this. I was trying to find any way I could to chicken out, but I couldn't do it. And so, so I jumped off with Jeffrey. I think he went before me. But look, that dude's getting that opportunity. Jeffrey is such a good human being. I love his dad to death. We've been friends for a long time. And I think just like we talked about, the right equipment, that dude's been around long enough. He's got the skill set. And that's going to be a great opportunity for him. I definitely will be pulling for him.
Yeah, certainly so. Dominic, this weekend, Bristol, but not your typical Bristol race. They're on dirt. What's the format? How's everything going to go down this weekend?
So you're right. It won't be your typical 500 lap Bristol race, and they put so much dirt on the surface. We've got the 2nd year in a row of the Bristol Dirt Race. Joey Logano is the defending race winner and odds-on favorite for this weekend. We got Kyle Larson as the favorite heading into the race weekend to go and take the victory. They're in the number 5 car. Also, some other headlines surrounding that race. We've got Justin Allgaier driving the 77 car for Spire Motorsports. He'll make his first Cup start of the year. And we have Josh Williams, a friend of the show and driver for BJ McLeod. He's going to be making his Cup Series debut in the 78. Oh, and by the way, Chase Elliott, your 2020 Cup Series champion, will be behind the wheel of the 7 Spire truck. So a lot of moving parts this weekend at Bristol. Certainly going to be a lot of fun. On top of that, too, Joey Logano in the 54 truck, Austin Dillon in the 20, and Harrison Burton in the 17.
All right. Let's start with you, Chris. You're going to be watching the dirt action at Bristol this weekend. What do you think of all of it?
Man, I got to tell you something. Bristol is already Bristol. It's like, how do you take a perfect meal and make it any better? It's like having a perfectly cooked filet. How do you make that any better? I mean, I think you take Bristol and you put dirt on it. So yeah. When I stepped away from the sport, I didn't watch any races for the longest time. But when you hear they put dirt on Bristol, I don't care who you are. That's a race you got to watch. So yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be watching that race.
David, you're off this weekend, but I know you're going to be watching. You're certainly intrigued with this, aren't you?
Oh, no doubt about it. Just watching the dirt race at Bristol, it's I was so intrigued last year, and I think NASCAR and everybody learned so much after having that first race at Bristol on dirt. And I think it's going to be a much better show. I think the track will be prepared better. The teams are prepared better. So I think it's going to even be a better show than what it was last year. The truck race was phenomenal. I was really surprised by who won the Cup race. Was seeing Joey Logano win a dirt Cup race. I would have never thought. I mean, Joey's obviously one of the best in the industry, but I didn't think that he would be the guy that we would see victorious in the first dirt race at Bristol. I was talking about Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott. Somebody's got a lot of dirt experience. And man, I'm excited to see how it all goes down. I'm excited to have the weekend off to celebrate Easter and to catch up on some stuff around my house and at my race shop. But man, I'm going to be glued to the television watching it. That's going to be some good stuff, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Real quick, let's go around the room. Who we picking this weekend? Dominic, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I got to go on with Lozada's on favorite too. I think Kyle Larson gets it done and gets win number 2 of 2022.
I'll go with the easy pick. Give me Kyle Larson as well. David, Kyle Larson.
Well, no, I'm gonna have to go against. Obviously, he's the man on dirt. He's the man on anything. Whatever he's driving, he's a man. But man, that's a tough one. I think I'm gonna go back with Joey Logano. I mean, I didn't see that coming last year, but he did a phenomenal job. And I think I will go with Joey Logano myself.
I would also say don't rule out Christopher Bell as well. He's going to be one of the names to watch as well, looking for his second career win. Chris, who are you watching for this weekend?
Man, everybody said Kyle Larson, so I can't say Kyle Larson out, even though I want to say Kyle Larson. Yeah. Then David, you went with Logano. I mean, could he back to back? Yeah, I mean, that dude could totally back to back. So, I got to step back and go, all right, it's going to be one of the punk young kids. I don't know which one, but it's going to be one that I go, dang, he's not even old enough to drive, So the perspective changes once you get a little bit older. So I'm just going to say one of the punk youngsters.
Okay. So Dominic, write that down. The official pick for Chris. Punk youngster.
All right. Noted.
Duly noted. All right.
Well, at least he has about, 3/4 of the field covered.
And based on the way this season has gone, that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will get to our Ask David segment in just one moment. Before we do, Let's Go Racing with David Starr is presented by TicketSmarter. TicketSmarter came aboard as a primary sponsor this year on David's 08 Ford Mustang, and we want to tell you a little bit about what they do. TicketSmarter is a national ticket resale marketplace with tickets to over 125,000 live events, including NASCAR and other forms of motorsports. Fans can get tickets to every NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, and Camping World Truck Series race throughout the season. Visit ticketsmarter.com for more information. That's ticketsmarter.com. All right. Our first question in the inbox, our Ask David segment. You can reach out to us each and every week by email, davidstarpodcast@gmail.com. Also on Facebook, facebook.com/davidstarpodcast, and on Twitter @StarPodcast. Our first question This one is for Chris, and it comes from Marcia. Marcia wants to know, Chris, what is your wackiest David Starr story?
Marcia. Man, there was this one time in band camp. Dave, I don't know, like we were talking about this a little earlier. I don't know if I should repeat it. All I can say is my wackiest David Starr story. That's, I just remember, that we was naked in a hot tub. And I understand why David goes so fast, man. He's got the whole package.
Do you remember this, David?
Oh, shit. Yeah,
I remember
absolutely. Oh, man. Woo. Hey,
Good times.
Man, we've had some great times, haven't we, Chris?
So David,
listen, man.
David enjoyed it. That's what he said.
Oh, hey.
You know what? We were all enjoying it. It was man stuff, man. It was man stuff.
Oh, Lord. That's a great question, Marcia. Oh, man.
Another question. This one comes from Steve. Steve wants to know, this is for both of you guys. If Kyle Larson restructured the Prelude to the Dream, would he want to jump in and participate? I think that's supposed to mean if Tony Stewart brought it back, would Kyle Larson race? I would think that Larson would race if they bring back the Prelude. That was a cool event back in the day.
That was a great event, you know what I mean? And hey, all the dirt racers want to race dirt, you know, especially cool races like that. So I think Christopher Bell, you know, Kyle Larson, anybody that has dirt experience that grew up on dirt. I mean, that's where you learn how to have great car control. You know, that was just such an iconic race. And if they brought it back, definitely everybody would want to be part of that.
Yeah, Chris, I would think that Larson and a number of guys would want to do that if they brought that back.
You know, Kyle Larson has won in everything except a tricycle. And so I think if you bring back the Prelude race, then Kyle Larson not only is standing in line to get into one of those cars, but they're probably going to put his name on the trophy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this, Dominic. SRX isn't going to Eldora this year, which I thought was a bit surprising. We're not having the Prelude, not having a NASCAR race there. I'm going to miss it. We don't get any type of race, big race at Eldora this year.
I know, especially with that Midsummer Classic that was becoming an instant classic throughout the mid-2010s. Yeah, certainly disappointed to see that, but yeah, I mean, it'd be really cool. I mean, Tyler, Chris, I'm sure you guys would be willing to hop in one of those cars too if invited to the Prelude of the Dream if it's resurrected.
Shit, I'm disappointed that I'm not in Bristol running a truck. I mean, I think it'd be kind of awesome to go jump in do a truck race on dirt at Bristol Motor Speedway, man. I think we're messing out here, Chris.
Listen, man, I'm at the point where I don't care who calls me to drive what. The answer is yes. Look, David, if you call me to drive your golf cart, I will drive your golf cart.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Oh, gosh, that's great. Guys, we are out of time this evening. It has been a pleasure bringing you this show tonight. It's been, I can honestly say, just a lot of fun sitting here tonight between the four of us. Chris, before we go, where can people find you and keep up with all the great stuff you're doing and your upcoming projects, man?
Well, look, I just want to start by saying I'm the greatest that there ever was. I literally piss excellence. You know, so man, you can find me all over the place. I feel like I'm traveling more than I stay home. I'm in every state traveling, doing this music thing. You can find me on all the social media platforms, you know, the Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. But default, go to LaffertyMotorsports.net. Man, it's I think it's there. I think it's still there. I haven't been on it in a while.
Very good.
Awesome.
Dominic, what's going on with you this week, man?
Yeah, I'll be spending Easter kind of splitting it up this weekend. We're going to be spending some time with Felice's family up in Taos, and then we'll be spending Easter with my family in Grant. So it's going to be a really fun weekend, and looking forward to seeing a lot of family and people I haven't seen in a while. How about you guys?
It'll be good. I'm going to head up to Oklahoma this weekend, see the family and celebrate Easter, and remember the real, reason, the resurrection of our Lord, and such. So always a special time, and certainly going to enjoy that. David, what about you?
Man, I'm just going to hang out. I got a couple more days working at my race at our Team Texas driving school race shop, and then enjoy the holiday weekend with my family. Hopefully the Easter bunny shows up here at my house and brings lots of goodies for my boys, and maybe even maybe Vancy will be racing this little sprint car Saturday night. So a lot of fun stuff coming up this weekend. We're going to tune in to the races there at Bristol, and just hopefully everybody has a wonderful, happy holiday week, Easter weekend.
Oh, yeah, for sure. As always, you guys can follow us on social media, facebook.com/David Starr Podcast, Twitter @Starr Podcast, and you can also email us, davidstarpodcast@gmail.com. And make sure to subscribe to the show. New episodes out each and every Wednesday. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, as well as YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications as well, and leave us a 5-star review, or don't leave us one at all. We have to head out to put the checkered flag out on this edition of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. We'll be back next week, better than ever, and we want to thank Chris for joining us. Doing a great job. Chris, welcome back anytime, man. We'd love to talk to you again in the future. And for Dominic Aragon, David Starr, Tyler Jones, our entire crew, I'm talking to you. Thanks so long. We'll see you next week.